Hello! What are we doing today? That's a great question, viewer that asked. I saw it. Somebody said it. Mikhail, bring up somebody asked. So what are we doing today? We're doing a segment that we've done already, but I'm giving a little bit of a twist. It's not the same as we normally do this segment, but the name fit and I didn't want to make another logo. Ask Alex! Normally we do this with tweets that you guys tweet out directly to me. Today I'm going to be using the subreddit Ask Reddit, and we're going to be giving them our advice. So today is Ask Alex Reddit edition, not Twitter edition. Girl who took notes using 50 different colored pens. Where are you now? I'm doing great. Listen. I had a pack of gel pens, and I would rewrite my notes like 3 times. I've become socially more normal since then.
Stop the cap.
But hey, I got a thing of gel pens for my birthday, and they were cool at the time. Gel pens were very in, and it made it so I'd want to write my notes. I had to make it work somehow. To the people taking notes without 50 different colors, where are you now? I'd have to rewrite my notes 3 times because I would have my first set of notes that were really sloppy. They would start out really perfect and they would slowly get sloppier and sloppier. And then I'd rewrite them and try to do different colors, and I'd always make mistakes. And then I'd write them one more time because I was really bad at retaining information. So doing the notes helped me. I don't think I would pass a single test if I didn't. I also cheated, so. Of course. Who didn't cheat on any, like, okay. Once in chat if you cheated on at least 1 test in high school. Look at all you cheaters. Probably. Look at all you fucking cheaters. See, my problem is I was really bad at retaining boring information. I would rewrite my notes 3 times. I would study. But as soon as the test hit, I'm like, I don't fucking know any of this. Yeah, cheating is just how you increase your stealth skills. Exactly. I was not built for learning things, chat, okay? I'm fucking stupid, and I made a career out of it, so you know what? Cheat on tests. That's how you get through school. Don't listen to me. There's children don't watch me. What's your best, oh, you thought this was bad, it gets worse story? Oh no. I have a really bad one. It's probably gonna gross chat out, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I was young, so I don't really give a shit. But it was probably the single most mortifying event to ever happen to me as a child. Let me warn you guys. Let me warn you, boys in chat. It involves periods. I'm gonna say period in it. Can you handle that? I don't know. Like in a sentence? I'm gonna say it anyway. So I remember when I was younger, I was invited to a birthday party. And I was quite young. It was probably around the time when I first, flowered as a child, you know? Oh boy, it's time to cringe. I was very young and I was not that popular. And I only had recently started, my period as a child. And I was scared of like tampons or any of that. That shit scared me. I'm like, I don't want to put something inside me, like a foreign object. That sounds like, what the fuck? Try explaining that to a small child. Yeah, you take this fucking cotton thing, you shove it up your woohoo. It's like, no thanks. So I had pads, okay? I had pads. As a child, I didn't realize that you shouldn't wear pads while in a swimming pool. I didn't understand that concept. So yeah, there was a pool party, a portion of this party, and it was one of the inflatable, not that large pools in their backyard. And when you're a kid, you try to make a whirlpool, right? So everyone's on the outside of the pool running as fast as they can, and you're like slipping, and you're trying to go, and you're trying to make a whirlpool that's going like really fast. And we're running, I'm like having so much fun. And I'm looking in front of me, and I see this thing in the water, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like running, and I look, and I realize it's my pad. My bloody pad is chasing the boy in front of me, and it's just out of my reach, and I'm panicking, looking around to see if anyone has noticed. So I'm like trying to frantically swim to grab it, and I'm like I grab it, I look around, nobody's there, I grab it, I ball it, and I throw it outside the pool. I like throw it to the side outside of the pool. And we're still going, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like freaking out. I'm like having a meltdown thinking that somebody saw it. I'm so glad being a child was traumatic for everyone, right? Being a child, whoo, trauma. Like I said, you thought this was bad, it gets worse. I thought I was in the clear. We all get dried off, and we go inside, and we start watching a movie. In the middle of the movie, their dog comes in and starts tearing something apart on the floor. It was my pad. There was like cotton and blood and everything, just like, it didn't look like a pad anymore. You couldn't really tell what it was because the dog had torn it completely apart. Somehow, the children did not figure out what it was, but I'm pretty sure the mom did, and came and was like, oh, all kids, oh, go out. Like I'm realizing now the mom was a homie, and she kind of was like, oh, I think that's like napkins from the pizza. Oh, let me clean this up, get the dog out of here. Oh, blah, blah, blah. The kids leave the room, and she had cleaned it up, and nobody ever mentioned it. Nobody knew it was me. But hey, if you knew me back then, that was me. That was my pad. Your dog rubbed it into your carpet. What's an older video game you still happily play today? I try to think, like, what would you consider like older? Like Counter-Strike is probably one that I actually would play that's older. Pokemon do be old. I just still like Pokemon. Spyro, has anybody here tried playing Spyro or Crash Bandicoot, like the older versions, again recently? Did anybody else try to relive Spyro and realize how terrible it looked? Like memories from me as a kid. Do you guys know the new remastered Spyro? How it looks like a really good high definition dragon? All of my memories of Spyro as a child look like that. What did they do to my boy? What did they do to my polygonal boy? Another one that I got really into that I guess is old now is Bully. Did anybody here play Bully as a kid? I thought that was such a cool game. Bully was a good game. Let me see how that looks, because in my memory, again, it looks good. This looks pretty good. For PS1, I think they did remaster it, bring back Neopets. They have brought back Neopets, haven't they? Didn't they recently bring back Neopets? If so, I really do want to play some Neopets. What rules were put in place because of you? So when I was in high school, we lived next to a forest, and there was also one, quite a foresty area near my school. And we used to play this game that we called Stick Game, where on our lunch break, we would go into the forest and throw large sticks at each other. Explaining that and saying that out loud sounds really fucking stupid, but I promise you, it was a very popular game that a lot of kids played. It was called Stick Game or Stick Wars. Stick Wars. So you'd have two teams and you just throw sticks at each other. You try to build bases, try to keep the sticks out. There ended up actually having to be a ban on this game because one of our friends, we threw a stick and somehow the stick lodged itself into his head. I wish I was joking. It got lodged into his head and it was sticking straight out of his head. And his name was Cameron. We had to carry him back to the school and call an ambulance. After that, we weren't allowed to play that anymore. So instead, we would go back to my place and play in the forest by there. 90s babies, who was your first television crush? I don't think I had a crush really on anybody. Like, okay, not a television crush, but the only like crush I can think of is like Backstreet Boys. And I thought I really liked Brian. I was trying to be like the cool one that didn't like say Nick, you know, because everyone liked Nick, you know. So I was like, I like Brian. But that's it. That's the only thing I can think of. What famous place is not worth visiting? Disneyland, Florida, New York. I like all of those places though. Paris, Grand Canyon. I think this one is Mount Rushmore. Okay, maybe Mount Rushmore, because it's like you just go and you're looking at like a facade of just some rocks, and then it's like, okay, Times Square 100%. I guess it's really I think it's a really personal thing, right? It depends on what you enjoy. Because I could go into a cathedral and really take in all of the beauty of the architecture and like how everything is set up. And the next person would be like, this is fucking boring. I feel like I'm at a museum. Like, it really depends on what kind of person you are. Legoland I enjoyed, but it is hyped. It is overhyped. It's not like Disneyland or Disney World, right? I don't know. What famous person not worth visiting? I feel like it's all a very personal thing. I wouldn't tell anyone to not visit anywhere. Like, I know after going to New Orleans, a lot of people are like, don't fucking go to New Orleans, never go. But at the same time, I had a really good experience, even though I would never go back to New Orleans, but being able to be on the strip with everyone, just being like drunk and just being in a really scummy part, it just depends on who you go with. Anywhere could be great with the right people, right? It just depends. People who shoved their school papers in their backpack with no binder or folder. Where are you now? Okay, this stressed me out. Am I like one of the only people that would have like a portfolio for each one and I had like a Do you know, like the portfolio things that you open up? I put them all in their individual little slide things. Oh, I hate that. People just shove shit in their bag and it was all just crumpled up. I was like, how do you live that way? I was so OCD. I'd have all my different duotangs and all my cahiers, and I'd have them in their individual little labeled little folder in my fucking accordion portfolio. God damn. If I did that, cannot have it unorganized. I was so over-organized with everything that came with that, but I was terrible at doing stuff. What teen movie is the epitome of the older I get, the more I agree with the adult? Well, we would have such good examples because I feel like there's ones that we watched that like, yeah, the kids are little fucking shits. I will say this is not the same. Home Alone is like the opposite of that. Whereas the older I got, the more I realized how much of a piece of shit the family was. And like, the older I get, the worse they get. Oops, left my kid at home. They're like laughing about it. Like they do it twice. Yeah, we just hate our fucking child. What was your first anime? As children, we watch animes, we consume animes, but we don't classify them as anime. Like, if you were to ask me, oh, when did you start watching anime? I would say, oh, the last few years, I only started getting into anime. So, like, when I was younger, I don't categorize Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z. I don't count any of those as watching anime because as a child, I was just watching them like I would cartoons. I feel like I don't classify those as anime, even though they are. Now that I'm older, I would tell you I started watching anime in like 2019, and I started watching anime because of Wubby. It was like 2018. Wubby was the one that introduced me to anime because I didn't really know anything about anime. I was like, oh, haha, anime weebs. Like, hey, we make fun of people that watch anime. Like, I didn't know anything about it, and I just thought it was like this like nerdy thing that I wouldn't like. Even though I was into video games and all this other cool stuff, I didn't really understand what anime was, to be totally honest. And the first anime that he introduced me to was Your Name, the movie Your Name. And I bawled like a little tiny baby. And I was like, this is so good. I'm like, I love this. Can you send me more? So then I watched Your Lie in April. And I binged that in 2 days. I watched that. I barely slept. I binged the entirety of Your Lie in April in like 2 days. It was like 2 or 3 days. I literally binged it episode after episode and barely slept. And I was like, oh my God, that was so good. It's like, you want to be sad. What the fuck? It's so sad. I would bawl to both of them. I thought it was so good because it was so sad. And then I was like, what else do you got? And he's like, okay, well, this is like my all-time favorite anime. And I watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So I watched the majority of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood alone. And then the final season, the last couple episodes I watched with Wubby. That became my new favorite anime at the time. It was so good. And it just went up from there. Like after that, I watched like Promised Neverland. I haven't watched the second season because I was told it wasn't good, but I watched Promised Neverland, which I really like. Fuck, I'm trying to think of everything that I've watched. It's so much. Silent Voice I watched, I didn't like a Silent Voice. Yeah, I don't know, I didn't get into it. Demon Slayer I absolutely love. I didn't start watching all of the Studio Ghibli movies until more recently. But I love all of them. But yeah, my first anime I would classify as probably Your Name or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. What anime have you cried the most to? Ooh, Your Name or Your Lie in April. Those two, I bawl at almost everything I watch, to be totally honest. I will find something to cry at in almost every single movie I watch.